Hey Crestwood, happy Wednesday to you all. Hope you all are having a good week so far. We are blessed by God in so many ways, and my prayer for you today is that you see a new way, maybe a way you've taken for granted, or a way that God is at work in your life that you haven't seen before. But I invite you to look for that. Look for God at work, and then pause to give thanks for that. It's my honor to be with you and to bring you this devotional for this Wednesday, January 11th. So I heard this great story that I want to share with you. A man was leading a conference. He was the guest speaker at the conference, and he was trying to help his audience that he was talking with understand the challenges, the risks of perfection. So he did that by teaching them to juggle. So he had given them all handkerchiefs, and he was going to teach them to juggle using 3 handkerchiefs. And he started by saying, take a handkerchief in your hand. So everybody held it in their hand, and he said, now drop it. And everybody kind of stopped. Well, why would you do that? He's like, just drop it and let it hit the floor. So everybody dropped the handkerchief, let it hit the floor. He said, great. He said, now you have experienced your first guilt-free drop. He said, here's the thing. When you are learning to juggle, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to drop a lot of handkerchiefs, a lot of tennis balls, hopefully not a lot of machetes if you get to that point of juggling. But whenever you're learning to do something like juggling, you're going to drop things. He said, and your tendency is going to feel guilty. Oh man, I can't do anything right. Oh, this is horrible. I'm never going to get good at this. He's like, you need to give yourself grace. You need to have that guilt-free drop where something drops, you just pick it up and you try again. And I found that to be such a profound lesson in life because many of us seek that sense of perfection. Many of us work to be the best that we can be. We want to be thought of as people who do things well, who do things right, who don't drop the ball when we're given a responsibility. And yet even the best of us, the most responsible of us, the most dependable of us, we're going to drop the handkerchief sometimes. Sometimes we are just going to lose our grip. Sometimes we're going to be overwhelmed. Sometimes we're just going to forget things and not follow through on everything that we're supposed to do. And the tendency right away is to feel guilty. Oh my gosh, people were counting on me and I didn't follow through. This is something I should have done and I didn't do. And that guilt can just weigh on us and weigh on us and weigh on us. Or maybe we treat other people that way. You were supposed to do this and you didn't. This was your responsibility and you let it go. How could you make a mistake like that? There's room in our lives for the guilt-free drop. There's room in our lives to recognize that we are not called to be perfect. We are called to be faithful. And it's through our faithfulness that God makes us perfect. You know, Paul says in Corinthians that God says our grace is sufficient. God's grace is sufficient for us because it's through our weakness that God is made strong. It's through our weakness that God is made powerful, because then we are called to depend on God and to remember that we need God's grace in our lives. You know, it feels like there's less and less room for grace these days. Things go wrong, people show up late, mistakes are made, and our first thought is, how dare they? How could this happen? I deserve more than this. And that's entitlement. That's entitlement when we think everything should be the way we think it should be. And then we turn that on ourselves and we get mad at ourselves when we don't do things the way we should do them. That's the danger, the dark side of perfectionism. So I want to encourage you today to figure out, where in your life do you need a guilt-free drop? Where in your life do you need to say, you know what? I don't have to be perfect in this. I'm going to drop things. Things aren't going to go great. I'm going to let somebody down or disappoint them, and that's a hard feeling to accept. It's through our weakness that God is made strong, and that's why God's grace is sufficient. So I encourage you to give yourself a guilt-free drop and give someone else one as well. Someone else is going to disappoint you. They're going to let you down. They're not going to be the person that you want them to be. Maybe instead of judgment or criticism, maybe they need a guilt-free drop. Maybe you need to be able to say to them, you know what? That's okay. Let's pick it up and try again. I know you can do better. I know who you are. I know your heart. Let's just pick that up and try again. And give yourself that grace too. When you mess up, when you fall short, guilt-free drop. Pick it up. Say, you know what? Next time I'm going to try to do better. And if I drop again, God's grace is sufficient for every single one of us. God bless you, Crestwood.